Coming up on First at 5, the historic inauguration of the new UF president. We'll hear his first remarks after the big occasion.
Later, UF students are pitching in at Grace Marketplace. We'll tell you what leaders of the organization hope everyone gets out of it.
And later, we'll hear from the UF professor who was honored by President Biden about what it means to him. We'll have those stories and more coming up. First at 5 starts right now.
First at 5, from the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Good evening and welcome to First at 5 from WUFT News. I'm Jacob Sedesse.
And I'm Natasha Holt. Thanks for joining us. We begin with a new day for the University of Florida, the inauguration of the school's 13th president, Ben Sasse.
The ceremony ended less than an hour ago at the historic University Auditorium. We begin with WUFT's Kennedy Mason. Kennedy, President Sasse addressed a number of reporters about his plans for UF's future.
When we talked to the 13th president of the university, Ben Sasse, after his inauguration, he said that we need to be moving at a rate of data and technology and to be hiring more people and to get better at that in terms of the Palestine-Hamas war on campus. He said that everyone should have access to free speech on this campus. And when asked about dropping from a top 6 university to a top 5 university in the U.S. World News and Report, he said that we should be focusing on our top 1 ranking from the Wall Street Journal. Live in Gainesville on the University of Florida campus, Kennedy Mason, WUFT News.
Thank you, Kennedy, for being out there. Members of the University of Florida community are giving back with an initiative just in time for that presidential inauguration week. This unique partnership with Grace Marketplace encourages students to engage in service projects to help end homelessness in Gainesville. From assisting in the donation center to serving meals, UF students are getting hands-on experience in helping those in need.
It's one thing to just show up and help out, but it's another thing to understand some of the systemic issues that lead to homelessness.
Grace Marketplace Community Engagement Manager Lee Scott hopes this UF collaboration will create sustainable volunteering for the organization. Well, if you didn't check the temperature before you left the house this morning, you were certainly in for quite a shock, as I was.
It's definitely the coldest it's been this week. WUFT's Daniella Rudolph joins us to tell us if those temperatures are expected to keep falling.
That's right, guys. I'm a big fan of the cold, so I was definitely in my element on my way to the studio this morning. But was it a record low? I'll have that for you in full weather. Looking at those current conditions, it's a beautiful blue sky right now. Not really going to be the case for the rest of the evening. Temperatures at 71, a bit of a gusty wind there at 29 miles per hour. Those temperatures right now across North Central Florida, 72 in Gainesville, 73 in Cross City, 68 in Live Oak, relatively in those high 60s and low 70s across the board. Now there is that radar. We are going to have a spot shower coming from the east to Gainesville a little bit later this evening, more in the overnight hours. Not really anything to worry about too early on in the evening if you're headed out. Cool and cloudy at 7 p.m., but it's going to be dropping down to 56 degrees around that 1 a.m. hour. Definitely want to take a sweater if you're headed out. Now coming up, are we going to be freezing for football? I'll have your daylight savings and timing out those temperatures when I return.
A Putnam County man is in jail charged with shooting and killing his wife. Deputies responded to a home on Penny Acres Lane Wednesday. They got a call and found Tina Hamilton shot in the head. Investigators say Peter Hamilton is responsible for the shooting. He was arrested and charged with first-degree murder.
Well, a Marion County firefighter is recovering tonight after being burned fighting a structure fire. Battling a fire yesterday afternoon, Captain Chris Troublehorn sustained serious burns. He was transferred to Shands and is being treated for his injuries.
Members of the Gainesville Regional Utilities Authority received approval for bond validations at their board meeting Wednesday. GRU proposed a bond validation process on the agenda to validate the legal rights of the GRU Authority. This process is meant to manage a $1.8 million debt portfolio while overseeing its expenses. Receiving a bond validation would let GRU issue a new debt and cover debt already issued. GRU also talked about negotiating to sell the public safety radio system, which is used for radio communications to first responders.
Well, the Alachua County Sheriff's Office has a new recruiter. This change comes amidst recruiting shortages within the office. The office has a shortage of criminal justice technicians, 911 dispatchers, detention officers, and detention officer recruits. Officials are offering a $5,000 recruitment and retention bonus as an incentive. Sergeant Joshua Wallace is set to be promoted to the position of recruiter for the office in upcoming weeks. ASO Public Information Officer Art Forgey said that the worker shortages are significant.
The day Sheriff Gainey took office, which was October the 2nd, we had 248 vacant positions. That's about 27% of our workforce.
Wallace formerly served as detention deputy and as a sergeant in the Security Operations Division. As the new hires roll in, the office says it is dedicated to retaining the agency's most valuable resource, their employees.
After his national recognition in technology, a UF professor is sharing his thoughts on the honor.
We'll tell you how Professor Juan Gilbert plans to keep creating innovative technology that will help several demographics of people. That's when First at 5 returns.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome back to First at 5. A local recipient of a national honor is finally sharing his thoughts. President Biden honored Juan E. Gilbert with the National Medal of Technology and Innovation just over a week ago. He's a UF professor and the chair of the Department of Computer and Information Science and Engineering. I spoke with him about the honor, and he tells me he was just happy to see the work in the spotlight.
It's a huge honor to be able to say, look, we came from this place. This is who we are. We're Gators. We are representative of Gainesville, Alachua County. It's a significant honor and, again, amazing.
He was honored for his universal voting system he hopes will make elections more accessible and reliable. I'll have my full-length interview where we talk about some of his other inventions on our website. That's WUFT.org.
It's Mobility Week, and several local cities are offering free services to commemorate the week. Mobility Week is an effort by the Florida Department of Transportation to promote awareness of safe multimodal transportation choices. During the week, transportation agencies will encourage Floridians to try new transportation options by giving out free rides, prizes, and more. The week starts October 27th and will end November 4th. For more information, visit fdot.org.
The Lake City Police Department is mourning the loss of one of their own, retired K-9 officer Mimnock. The department made the announcement on their Facebook page. They say the officer retired in 2019. They say he enjoyed his retirement with his handler, Corporal Hardison. Columbia
County has officially ended its cleanup from Hurricane Idalia. This comes 2 months after the county suffered damages from the storm. Crew members removed more than 52,000 cubic yards of debris during the cleanup. The county's cleanup contractors have finished, and the commission voted to close their official efforts. Any final remnants of the hurricane damage will be taken care of by the county.
Now we have this high pressure system that's nestled overhead. What's it going to mean for us here in South Florida? I'll have that for you after the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Dignitaries from across the country attended today's inauguration. Our live team coverage continues with WUFT's Jake Lynch with a wrap-up of the ceremony.
Ben Sasse was just inaugurated as UF's president. Less than an hour ago, the ceremony ended where alumni, student, and faculty were all in attendance at the university's auditorium. That event started today at 3 p.m. UF's ROTC started off the show with a program and then a special performance by the UF School of Music and a prayer by Pastor Gerard Duncan. In Sasse's speech today, he laid out the 4 important things he wants to do with his tenure. More humanities for STEM majors, defending the tenure of faculty, hiring faster than ever, and more transparency on university spending.
Today is about the University of Florida's last decade and our coming decade together. It's about Gator Nation's unbelievable accomplishments of late, and it's about where we're headed next. It's about this state's incredible opportunity, the unbelievable things that this community of students, faculty, and citizens has been doing and will continue to do over the course of the years to come.
While Ben Sasse is the 13th president of the university, this is only the 9th event of its kind. His appointment coming after the resignation of former UF president Kent Fox. Now, that appointment came with some controversy, but today, this ceremony ended with his speech and him draped in the signature UF orange and blue. Live from UF, Jake Lynch, WUFT News.
If you headed out this morning, you would have felt how icy it was, and it definitely felt like one of the coldest days of the year. However, the actual low was 44 and the record low is 34, so it was even colder for the record. I personally am a huge fan of the cold, so I was really in my element, but that's not the case right now. We warmed up quite nicely to 72 degrees. Look at this beautiful Crystal River cam. Again, we have those gusty winds at 21 degrees. Now looking forward for your hour by hour for the remainder of the evening, those temperatures are going to be dropping down to feel a little bit cooler, sitting in the low and mid 50s. If you're staying with me here in Gainesville, tomorrow headed to campus, we have a crisp start to the day, dropping down to 53 degrees. Not as cold as this morning, but I do suggest still taking a jumper on the way out. We're going to be warming up nicely to around 74 degrees, and we're going to be dry. For tomorrow, we do have a little bit of a chance for rain, but I don't think it's anything to worry us right now. For your Friday morning, waking up to 57 here in Gainesville, warming up nicely to 63 in Cedar Key. We have those high 50s, low 60s across the board. Now there we have that high pressure system that's going to help keep things dry for us. You can see until Saturday we don't really have any chances for rain here in north central Florida. So that high pressure system, whenever I see it, I think of high in the sky. So we have the beautiful sunny weather and not a cloud inside. Now looking further ahead, I will have your fair for football forecast in just a second. Sunday is going to be daylight savings. Again, I'll have more on that as well. And then those temperatures are going to be climbing to above average a little bit later on in the week. Now, there we go, football. The Gators are taking on the Razorbacks right here in the Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. We're going to have a cool tailgate at 66 degrees. We're bringing the heat at 74 for kickoff at noon. And then we're going to be keeping things going, peaking at 78 degrees. So it's going to be a nice day. Of course, we're tracking the tropics. Right now, we can take a breath of fresh air. We don't have anything on the radar. We do have a little bit of a disturbance developing. We'll have more on that in just a little, but it's nothing to worry about as of right now, but that doesn't mean that we should be complacent. Hurricane season is not over. You should always be prepared for severe weather. There we have daylight savings. It's time to fall back, so that means we're going to sleep an extra hour, which is very, very exciting. And there is that 7-day outlook. Look at those temperatures climbing up later on in the week, actually going to be above average temperatures. Those normal temperatures for our highs at 78. Look at Wednesday at 85 degrees.
Basketball season is right around the corner for the Florida Gators. The women's team hosted an exhibition match against Florida Southern last night. The recap on that and more in sports after the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome to sports. I'm Jack Alperstein. Halloween is over and it's just about time to hit the hardwood as the Gators women's basketball team hosted Florida Southern for an exhibition game yesterday. Florida Southern tried to set the tone early, coming out the gates with intensity. The Mocs kept it close in the first quarter, but this one was taken over quickly by the Gators. Senior guard Aaliyah Matharu took the floor for the first time since the 2021-22 season at Texas after not playing last season due to transfer rules. Matharu showed no signs of rust, finishing with a game-high 20 points. Leilani Correa, another senior guard for the Gators, added in 18 points of her own with 3 steals and 2 blocks. Florida took care of business with a 50-point win, 93-43. The team will open its season in the O'Connell Center on November 6th against North Florida. That's not all we have for Gator Hoops. Following the women last night, the men's squad laces up for its orange and blue scrimmage tonight. Junior guard Will Richards spoke on this new-look Florida team.
For me, I could tell we're going to be better the first few weeks coming in the summer. I mean, just seeing how well everybody gelled and how quickly everybody's coming together, and just seeing the talent that we have and how it's coming together, I can tell we're going to be better.
Fans can get their first look at this Gators team tonight at 7 p.m. in the O'Connell Center. Well, the O'Connell Center is really getting put to use this week as the Gators volleyball team hosts 11th-ranked Tennessee tomorrow. Florida looks to bounce back in this one after getting swept in their last matchup this past Sunday. The Gators hold a 14-5 overall record, and they are 6-4 in the SEC. The Vols have been dominant this season at 18-3. They've only lost 2 games against SEC opponents this season and look to keep it that way as they hunt for revenge after the Gators' 3-1 victory last season. Tomorrow's matchup is set for 7 p.m. The high school football playoff picture is shaping up for several local programs. This Sunday, the Florida High School Athletic Association will release their bracket for the playoffs, with plenty of local schools expecting to take part. Next week, we'll be highlighting Buchholz, Hawthorne, Daniella, and a few other high schools on their path to that prize state championship. Tune in on Thursday, November 9th at 8:30 p.m. for a high school playoff preview special. In other Gator news, sophomore linebacker Shamar James will be missing the rest of the season after undergoing surgery on his knee following an injury in pregame warmups against Georgia. That's all we've got for sports. I'm Jack Alperstein.
Thanks, Jack. I'm going to be honest, that Gators and Razorbacks game is going to be tough for me. My godmother was a huge Razorbacks fan when I was growing up, and of course I was raised a Gator, so it's going to be pulling on me a little bit. But if you are headed over to that game, Daniella, it looks like the weather is going to hold up pretty well.
It's going to be much warmer than what we've been seeing over the past few days. Friday, we do have a chance for the spot shower, but we are clear for football and things are heating right back up. Let's look at that 7-day outlook. We have daylight savings on Sunday. We're going to fall back an hour, but look at those temperatures getting lovely, nice and warm. They're actually going to be above average. The average for this time of year is around 78 degrees. So Saturday is really going to be the only day that we are seeing those normal average temperatures, heating right back up to feeling just like Florida. I was really hoping that we're going to get a break in this nice, really cold weather. I'm a big cold girl, so I'm really sad that the weather is getting warm, but I'm pretty sure a lot of you really do love that typical Florida weather, and it is really going to be feeling like that.
Well, thanks, Daniella. It sounds like it's pretty pleasant outside, so I'm looking forward to it.
Perfectly mild.
Yeah, that's all the time we have for tonight. BBC World News is next, and PBS NewsHour is coming up at 7, but you can always get your news on WUFT 89.1, 90.1, NPR News and Talk.
Have a wonderful night.